Welcome to UpWell The Podcast. I'm Sarah, and this is my beautiful co-host, Katie. As fellow female entrepreneurs turned friends and now business partners, we are so happy you're here.
With every episode, it is our sole purpose to share authentic conversations to inspire your personal level up. Take our curiosity, add your best intentions, and flow with us in the UpWell.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to UpWell The Podcast. We're back again.
Welcome. Back in the studio.
We are. It's more than just the two of us today. We are doing something new and exciting, a little bit new.
Yeah.
Since the very beginning episode.
Yeah. We are actually going to be on Zoom today, but we have a guest that is going to be calling in here in just a little bit.
We're super excited to introduce you to him, but we're just going to shoot the shit while we wait for him.
Because that's what we're good at.
I know. Halloween is coming. That's all I know. What else current event wise? It's Halloween. That's all anyone cares
She's
about
all
right
pumpkin flavored crap, and I'm
Tacos.
Give me tacos.
Pumpkin spice is life. Oh no, it's
gross.
I am preparing to run the Chicago Marathon this weekend. So
yeah, and I won't be there to support her, but
it's okay.
I have some stuff going on that I need to tend to, but
in your thoughts. I'll be in your
always. You're always in my thoughts.
Ooh. Ooh. I'm nervous, but this will come out after I already finish it. So as long as I'm here on the next episode, you'll know that I didn't die.
If I start recording by myself, we'll know that Sarah didn't make it.
Yep.
And that, she had a good run, kind of.
Literally a good run in life, not a good run at the race. She didn't make it. He's not coming in yet, but hopefully, just momentarily. What else is new with you?
I've got some allergies going on, and it's kind of driving me crazy. I have a little bit of a cough that is getting me here and there. I moved to a farm, so and it's harvest here in the Midwest. Yeah. So I am dealing with the new environmental, irritants that my body's not really used to. So I'm going to have to find some local honey and bust out my fire cider.
Heck yeah.
My fire cider has actually been brewing since last fall.
What?
Yeah.
I know you gave me the recipe, but remind me what's in it.
So it's a mix of it's got ginger, horseradish, jalapenos, lemons, oranges, an onion, and then it all ferments in apple cider vinegar.
That's amazing. Oh, welcome. Oh, there he is, the man of the hour.
Hi.
Hello. Welcome.
Hello. How are you? Thank you so much.
Yes, we are happy you're here. Katie.
Yes. Hi.
Tell us about our guest today.
We are super duper excited for our next guest. He started his health journey in 2012. He found a passion working with children. He created an early holistic health education program. He is a hip hop artist. He is a creative writer. He is a children's book author of the Get Well Johnny 12 book series. He is a father. He is an inspiration to so many, and we are excited to have him here, Dr. Pooch.
Wow, what an introduction. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'm so excited to finally meet you and talk to you. This is our first interaction. You've been talking with Sarah, but I'm super excited you're joining us. So thank you for kind of popping in and giving us some of your time.
It's really my honor. I mean, we're all in the same work. We have to support each other. I've received so much support through Sarah over the many posts, and dealing with social media is really great to make actual connections. I mean, that's what these social media platforms are for. And so it's really powerful when we're able to up the ante a little bit, up the level of what we're doing, and really just up humanity is what we want to do. We want to all upgrade, so I think that's what, we're all vibrating towards each other. So it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Couldn't agree more. Tell us a little bit more about yourself. I know Katie's introductions are always so good that people want them on their tombstone.
Yo, that was amazing.
But we want to know a little bit more just from your side, where you started, kind of where you're at now in your own personal journey and what you do, and your mission
Yeah. Wow. Where I started, I mean, Dr. Pooch, first of all, is a name that was given to me as a child. I have no idea. I assume it's my father. Um, but I don't know. It's just a name that always stuck. I have an auntie that I was asking around once I used to run from the childhood nickname Dr. Pooch. Everybody runs from their childhood nickname, or like, don't tell anybody outside of the house that I'm Pooch and Dr. Pooch, right? Um, but I finally accepted it. And even in hip hop, right? You introduced me as a hip hop artist. I was running from that name. And I was like searching for an identity. I knew who I was, and I was always on the positive tip in terms of my writing. But it's like I was running away from Dr. Pooch. I was running away from the really the coolest thing that could have, but I didn't know how it made sense in my life. I didn't know how it made sense in hip hop, in my writing, right? Until later on, until 2012, when these things just started merging and it became so powerful, where it's like, look, what's more important? Is it being cool and hip hop and all of this, or is it health and education and building a lasting legacy that will actually help people and elevate our culture and now teach? So another part of me has always been, even since a young age. So I don't know if you know this about me, but I was born in LA. But during the 90s, right, I'm following my brother and, following his footsteps, and we're getting into trouble a lot, and just, so my dad wasn't having it. He's from West Africa. So he's like, gone. You guys, we had a great experience, but we lived without our parents. He shipped myself and my brother away to Paris, France, and then I went to Senegal, right?
Wow.
And
Wow.
even in those places at a very young age, because I spoke English, right? I'm a kid from LA, having this experience. I was side hustling. I was tutoring and teaching, right? So teaching has always been a thing for me. It's always been a natural thing for me. And later on in life, after graduating high school, I went into the school, started working with autistic children. That was like, oh my gosh, right? And I started learning
That
like
population is some of the most fascinating people.
it's
They,
it's amazing. It
they are
opens you up
fascinating.
so many dimensions, and you so from there is where I learned of my gifts. Like, so check this out. I was so good. This is like 17, 18 years old. I was so naturally good at like getting kids to turn their day around and focus. They would send, and I was working at a school at this time where it was strictly children who had, behavioral, just kind of issues, physical as well. But it was a small school in Culver City, and they dealt with that population. They ended up giving me my own classroom. Like that's Mr. Hassan. Go to Mr. Hassan's class and turn your day around. And I had kids like just kind of even getting out of class on purpose, and I need to go to Mr. Hassan's class, and I would start just them being around me. I gave them confidence to really do a lot, and a lot of these kids have literally influenced culture. And I don't want to speak on who, because there's a lot of sensitivities and stigmas with those types of schools, so I won't put that name. But literally influenced culture worldwide, from those schools. And so like these kids are amazing, and
Yeah.
so all of that is Dr. Pooch. Like that's who I am. It's like from literally day one, or at least my first year on earth, stamped with that name and called by that name. And now I'm growing into this character of like kind of trying to understand myself, really, like the dimensions of what Dr. Pooch is, and what I represent to the world.
I love that. And so tell us though, because now that you've kind of evolved into the Dr. Pooch as the author and the hip hop artist and the wellness empowerer that you call yourself, it's a mix of Dr. Seuss and
Dr. Sebi.
Okay, so
Dr.
explain that to us
Sebi,
a little bit.
Do you know who Dr. Sebi is?
No.
So Dr. Sebi is he's an herbalist from Honduras. He moved, he has interesting history in America. He worked with a lot of celebrities like Michael Jackson and Magic Johnson, Lisa Left Eye Lopez. She was at his retreat center in Honduras, his healing center. And I think that's where she passed away, in Honduras, right?
Oh, wow.
And she was going through her healing journey because she had lupus, right?
Mhm.
So Dr. Sebi represents to urban culture that alternative to allopathic medicine, right? It's like that shift. It's like nature is always correct, nature is wise, and let's align with nature. And here, let's talk about burdock, and let's talk about elderberry, and so that's what Dr. Sebi did for our culture. He brought us into that world of like, and he popularized it. So when I say, and I'm out in the streets and I'm out in, and I tell people, oh, this is like Dr. Seuss meets Dr. Sebi, they're like, they turn around. It hits them because he's affected culture. And so just like Dr. Seuss has affected culture in a national sense, he has his own day. Dr. Sebi in the urban community is like that. So merging those two, it does something to people as I'm using it as like a new stamp. It came up in an interview and I just said it so naturally. And I realized what I said later on. I was like, oh, whoa, that makes sense, And I started using it, and people literally would stop in their tracks when I'm out, selling my books or, at events or, wherever I am. I would say this tagline and they smile, they laugh, they just all types of really clicky kind of moments. Like they get it. It's like, that's it. So I ran with it. I'm running with it.
Yeah, you should. I think it's such a cool explanation. I love that you just shared that with us, because it's bringing the worlds of naturopathic healing and using nature to, level up our lives and heal our lives, and, the entertainment value of Dr. Seuss,
the fun side of it.
Yeah, and making it enjoyable. And I love what you're doing, kind of targeting the youth. So that's kind of what I want to talk to you a little bit more about today, is just in your mind, what you've seen, and even through all of your amazing experiences in your background, why do you feel like it's so important to impart wellness in our youth, especially now, in modern times?
From being an 80s baby, right? We didn't even know what autism was, talking about autism. We didn't even, there wasn't even a name for autism. It was Asperger's or I think there's another name I can't recall right now.
Yeah, I can't think of it either.
So it's like the rates were 1 in 10,000 at that time. So rare.
Mm-hmm.
Today we're at 1 in 35, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's 40 years. Okay, what about if things are moving faster now and, doubling up, tripling up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what's going to happen in the next 10 years? And then what's going to happen in 15 years and 20 years? And so when does it stop? At what point do we say, okay, this is like something needs to happen, because our children now are being affected, and we're actually in the first generation of children that may pass away before their parents, right? Like their parents may outlive their own children, right? That's
I
a
just
crazy
read that
concept,
study,
right? Like 1 in 6, 1 in 3, overweight, obese, diabetes. It's like, it's crazy number. So it's like, at what point do we say, yo, something is, hey, at what point do we sound the alarm? Like, at what point do we shift education? At what point do we intervene in, I don't know what this is. Like, they say the American experience, is it strictly corporate that we have a lack of, and that we're being targeted, like baby formulas and all of these things have heavy metals in there. Like, at what point are we like, yo, something is going wrong, and we have people in place that can actually, you know what I mean? Let's like, the whole thing seems, I don't know, like, these are the times of conspiracy theories. Like, the whole thing seems like a setup. And I'm like,
Yep.
I
You see
I
us
look at,
nodding.
Right.
You see us nodding. We're like, yep.
Right.
mhm.
Right. So as you're nodding, I'm like saying more. Okay, you want me?
Keep going.
No, but it's for real. It seems like a setup. And at what point do we say, okay, we
Enough's
get
enough.
what you're doing, and let's and we have to counterattack that. We have to counterbalance. It's not even an attack. It's just balancing that. And so to bring it back to the kids, like teaching a child, like, okay, my son is but he has the sweetest heart, right? He's fearful of bees. Okay. So he's never gotten stung yet by a bee, but he's always conscious if there are bees around. I mean, he loves soccer, right? So this is a dilemma for a kid going to the park and playing on grass and stuff like that. He's thinking about bees all the time and looking for them. So in every park, there is plantain that grows, right? Plantain, like a little, it's a little herb. It's a weed, basically, plantain or plantain, right? We'll call it. So now I identify that. I have him identify that and know what that is. So if ever he gets stung by a bee, he knows immediately that, okay, it's not a problem. It's not going to be a big issue. I don't know if he's allergic to bees or whatever is going to happen to, like I've only gotten stung once by a bee, like nothing really happened, but so to take that fear, hey, there's a solution around me all the time. And there's plantain everywhere. It's like dandelion. It grows everywhere, right? So it's like, oh, here's something literally change, like one bit of information can literally change your life. And so now I wrote a full series, a full spectrum of like nutritional health, social emotional health, environmental health, like tackled literally issues that Dr. Sebi brought to the people, that Dr. Sebi said, okay, hey, this is going on, and this is the food, and it's the products, and it's the the cleaners that you're using, and so people became aware of those things. So I studied everything in holistic health, that full gamut, and said, okay, let's dumb it down. Let's bring it to the children so they could be the ones, because it's going to be too fast, right? Like I said, it's 1 in 35 right now. So like we have to accelerate this process. And the only way that that can change is if children now become, by the time that they're 20, they're equipped with like everything, or 21, whatever, voting age, like they're equipped with everything that they need to know in terms of holistic health, managing their health, solutions, right? Being conscious of carcinogens, like the full gamut. Like it's easy. So
I love your knowledge is power approach, because I get that a lot from a lot of my clients, and Katie probably hears it a lot, just anyone in the wellness industry. I think people feel disempowered because, going back to the conspiracy theorists, but I think everyone thinks that everything is working against them, whether that's the government or the FDA or the World Health Organization or whatever. So I like that you are doing what you're doing to put the ball back in families' courts, like to put the responsibility back into the equation. So you're empowering and inspiring and educating people on things that they can do, for themselves personally, instead of trying to fight the system or trying to, even give up. A lot of people just kind of think that there's nothing that they can do. So I love what you're sharing, because it really does help people realize that they have so much more power and control over their own outcome.
yeah. I mean, we have to shape the system, right? We have to mold it to our liking, because we're powerful, right? And we live in this world and we participate in this world. We should have a say so. And the more we can teach empathy and teach interconnectedness and teach these morals, right, and elevate our value. Like, it's interesting what's going on. Like the value system is going down, right? Everybody's like worried. Okay, crash, going to be another crash. It's going to be this. So like now, what are we valuing, right? Like I have this book, this Everything is Energy, right? And it's Nikola Tesla, inspired by the Nikola Tesla free energy, right? He's sitting there reading a journal, and the Tesla coils are electrified. And so it's like, to me, that's the conversation between God and the devil, right? It's like God is this infinite, abundant, resource that just keeps on regenerating itself and it's everlasting, right? That's the free energy model, right? And then you have this lack, limitation, scarcity, fear, all of that we're currently living in, right? So it's like our value system is at a breaking point. And we're at these points where it's like, okay, the dollar might go, but there's crypto, there's all these different value systems. But now we have to infuse it's really our personal like value system, like building relationships, seeing the humanity in people, seeing the interconnectedness and things. And so that value system, it's changing as well. And our responsibility is to teach these children, because in the next, who knows, like they have cell phones, they can start trading on the market by 10, you know what I mean? There's a 10-year-old or like a 12, 15-year-old kid in England, or I forget where he was, during the pandemic. He shut down the whole like stock market, basically. I forget what the thing is, but he had so many people following. He's a genius kid. So many people follow him, and they blocked this company. And I don't know the technical terms. I'm not too savvy on that side of it. But he had such an influence on the stock market and the way that things happen. So it's like things can happen in an instant. You know what I mean? It's just our value system, our understanding, our collective consciousness. And so it's like that each one teach one model. Like you're doing your part in speaking to your demographic and getting this word out there. I'm honored now that I could share and be on a platform and get, speak to those people that you're influencing as well. And then that aggrandizes, right? It multiplies and multiplies until we're at a breaking point where it just changes, and changes into what we want. That's what I'm saying. We have to shape it, actively. And we're doing it. We're doing it right now.
I agree.
Yeah, because I mean, even the three of us are putting in the work, and we're doing it. And if we can influence, three people ourselves, it's just, and then it kind of just becomes this web of change and this web of connectedness of, working together for the greater good, as opposed to being pulled into that vortex of the devil.
There it is. We have to fight that. We have to fight the fear, fight the, and not even fight it, just not even resonate with it. Because that's all that is on that side. And like when I understood it in that sense, it's like, that's all you turn on the news, it's devil talk, lack, limitation, fear mongering, scarcity, rumors of war, like it's all on that side. There's no bet. So it's like, okay, now you have to be the balance and tune into what you want to do, because that's all you're going to get on this side. That's all that music is right now. Music has been hijacked. So many industries have been hijacked, right?
They've been bought.
We're even our field right now is being like, it's severely attacked, right? I mean, people, it's dangerous work, right? Doing this type of stuff and knowing this type of stuff. But it's like, a candle in a room. Hey, like, what are you going to be? What are you going to do?
Yeah. I love that. And if people feel like what we're talking about feels really heavy or feels larger than them, which it is, we talk about all this, it's grand scale, like it's happening everywhere. So I want you to give everyone some actionable things or some tips or tricks or something that, again, puts the ball back in their own family and their court, and what they can do. Where can they start if they're trying to value wellness? Like you use that word value. I love that, change their values and put a bigger emphasis on their family's health and well-being and their own longevity. What are some places outside of your book series, obviously, that people can start making changes in their own lives? Where do you recommend people start either learning or taking corrective action?
I'd have to think about it. I think the first step is taking accountability, right?
Boom.
You take accountability for everything that's wrong, and so then there's no more blaming, right? So now just like, okay, what do you not know? And there's a lot that we don't know because we haven't been taught. So it's like, we can't just, I can't just say one thing. But once you realize that you can take your health in your own hands, and you can take charge of yourself and your life and the things that are that you may feel are set up against you, right? When you realize that this is a fun game, life is a really fun program, and we have to enjoy the journey as much as possible to create the reality that we want to create. So you take a more active role in what you want to do. And with that, you're going to keep on learning and learning and learning and learning and changing and being and evolving, and that's really what it is. So, just forgive yourself, right? Forgive other people, love yourself and value yourself, right? And then that can be possible. That's that openness, right? Because you can't, you got to get over the pointing fingers, right?
Yeah.
That the pointing fingers.
The accountability, and I actually just had a conversation with a client this morning about this. It's also taking ownership. So I think accountability and ownership kind of go hand in hand. And I talked to this client of mine. She was a brand new client. And I said, the one thing that is uniquely ours is our body, It is uniquely ours. It doesn't belong to anybody else. And understanding what your body wants and needs and how it functions is your greatest form of freedom that you will ever be able to kind of create for yourself, and learning how to interact with others around you, but also learning how to interact with the world around you, and not just passing the buck off to somebody else. Oh, the doctor's going to tell me how I'm supposed to feel, or the doctor's, going to tell me what's wrong. No, you should really start to learn about what your body is for you. Yes, your body and my body and Sarah's body and everybody's body, we all have kind of the same hormones and the same parts, so to speak, but each of our bodies is our own little temple. It's our own little sanctuary, and just kind of, owning that and taking the accountability with that is one of the greatest things to really enjoying the experience and the journey of life.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's it. It's all in finding who you are, so
Correct.
it's like, once you, this term, know thyself, right? So when you fully realize that it's not even fully, we're partial in this, like partially realize that we're here for a certain purpose, and we're here having an individual experience, and we're here, like, there's something inside of us, this spirit, right? Like, my latest book is about breath work, right? This is about breath work. It's a beautiful book. But the character's name is Spirit, and it's I named her that because that's what the breath is. That's respiration, right? The spirit, and that's what we all share in common. So whether you're atheist, whatever, you're breathing, you have a spirit, right? The breath, the spirit of God breathes the spirit into us. All of these symbolic things, right? We can say that, all right, we're here and we're having this experience, and you're in your body and feel that body. Then you start to honor it. You start to appreciate the moment and be present. And once you do that, maybe that's it. Be present. I think being present gives us all of those accountabilities and, not pointing fingers. Being present in that moment and truly enjoying that moment, that's what will change everything.
Yeah, I agree. And I going back to just kind of circling back to all of that, I think especially in Western civilizations, and you can probably attest to this by, being a world traveler and seeing different cultures around the world, but I think we're so quick to give our power away to someone else that knows better than us. So whether that's the doctor, the government, all of these agencies or people, that know more, or, in our minds, we think that they're more powerful than us, than ourselves. So I love this whole conversation about just coming back to self and being accountable and being present, because that truly is the starting point. Because if you don't have that foundation, you can try to eat more vegetables
Mhm.
and go to bed earlier all you want. But if you don't understand that principle, I don't know that it's going to make like a true lasting change within our own families and, you know, in turn society, like we talked about.
In conjunction with that, I want to ask you then, since your focus is on children, what is a starting point then for teaching children how to find that presence and how to find that accountability and find that ownership? Because that's not something that like the cognitive ability of very young children, that can be a difficult thing for them to fully grasp. But what are some tips for teaching a child on how to kind of cultivate that within themselves?
I think accountability. I mean, uh, mirroring, like actually
Mhm.
being that and representing those values is the best thing because they see it, right? And also treating children fairly, right? Treating them
Mhm.
not as children where we have this top, because I'm bigger than you. I'm, like I'm louder
Right.
than you. I'm everything than you. So you have to listen to me. Seeing a child as your equal and honoring that child, right? That's a big thing that I'm learning from. I mean, I've always been like loving and caring with children and listening to them and treated them fairly. But it's more intimate now with my own children. I'm like, oh wow, they have their own personality, right? And so that's another thing too, as a worker in this space, understanding some esoteric principles, right? The astrological principles of who this child is, like what they embody, what they're here to do. And all of these are things that we can delve in and see to actually support that child's growth. Because otherwise we might be frustrated. I was this way, why aren't you this way? Right? But
Mhm.
it's not that. It's like this child has different celestial influences. You know what I mean? Like you got to like really know
Oh,
what
we
you're
know.
dealing with, right? Now I see you understand. It makes me happy too because it's like this is the new set of parenting and
Mhm.
society building that we need to have and be conscious of. It's like there's more to us. Like we're in these bodies, yeah, but there's
Mhm.
more to us than what we've been taught for sure. Like there's
Mhm.
more to us than that. So when it comes to children, it's like really being conscious. And of course, children are going to challenge you and all of that, but it's just like being aware of all of those things and trying to understand definitely who they are. Astrologic. I That's truly helped me as a parent. And
I love that.
So do
you
I.
know,
I
I
love
love
that. I
that.
love that so much.
yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, but
And
treat them fairly. Like if my son is acting up and I don't think it's bad to just, hey, like tap your kids or whatever. And I don't believe in beating your kids and hitting them hard at all. No, like I'm so against that. But like, I have a boy, so I have two boys. So I'm like, hey, what's up? Like, hit him on the chest, like just to, get him. So, but when I do that to him, he always, kind of like hits me back in the same way, and I accept it, right? So I'm like, okay, I get that, and let him, because we're equals. It's
Mhm.
not, hey, I correct you. He knows what's going on, and he's a great kid. Like he's a pleasure everywhere. So I know what I'm doing. He knows that I'm correcting, something and just bringing his attention to something. But if he feels a certain way about it, he has to get his little revenge, and I accept that. I don't know if that's right or wrong what I'm doing right now. I'm a parent, but
we don't ever know. Parents,
yeah,
we're winging it.
you have to just be fair. You have to honor that beautiful, precious, being that's there. And you can't dominate or try to break that spirit, like that's not for us to do. So
How do you feel? So let me ask you this. I feel like American society is completely opposite of everything we've just talked about. Like if you think about the 40+ hour work week for parents, if you think about the school system, how it's set up, not just what they're learning, but sitting at a desk
It's a
for
little prison for kids.
yeah, I mean, just everything that you think about, like from when we're born all the way until adulthood, it's just so kind of backwards, talking about the value system, valuing ourselves, valuing our bodies and our wellness. How do we fix this? Like, I know we've talked about a lot of solutions, but if it feels like America and the society we live in is just kind of working against this, what's next?
Well, America is a beautiful place, and there are a lot of American realities that are happening simultaneously. So it's not uncommon now to homeschool. It's not, uncommon now to garden and eat off of, your land. It's, so it's like I said, we're changing and molding our reality. And so I agree that mainstream, like I said earlier, it's like the devil, it's like that lack limitation. So they teach that at school. They enforce this at school. I'm bigger than you. You listen to me. Quiet. I said quiet, and you have these adults like with a blowhorn, like yelling at these kids in the classroom. Like, it's crazy. So we're taught this early on, and that's how, you mentioned the schools and the prisons, right? They got the same contracts. You know what I mean? They literally got the same contracts. So it's the same infrastructure. So all we have to do is step aside from that and build something else, but we have to build it. That's our responsibility. Okay, you don't like it, but it's like, you being in an insane asylum and saying, damn, all these, they could paint a little bit, all the walls are white, and and they give me the same like crappy food, but it's like, okay, you could sign yourself out. You're or whatever the process. That's just a first thing that came to mind. But it's like, you have a choice in this. You can just literally open the door and step out of that insane asylum and start. It's scary to do that. It's new, it's adventurous, it's like, daring and all of that, but it's possible, because people are doing it. And you could go on TikTok and you could go on Instagram and all of these things and find people who are doing this stuff. Oh, I want to can my vegetables too. Like, like these are it's an exciting time to learn a new trade, but you have to be willing to do that and step out of your normal boundaries.
That was such a mic drop moment. That was so good.
One of my favorite things to say actually is, if you look for the good, you will find it, and if you look for the bad, you will find it. It's all in what you choose to seek. And I think that kind of goes hand in hand with what you're saying, that we can kind of go down that road of kind of honing in on the bad and seeing like everything in the world is bad. But then we can also, if we choose to, we can find the good. We can find the people that are canning. We can find the people that are gardening. We can find the people that are homesteading and homeschooling, and, kind of find our tribe, find our people, and that interconnectedness that that we were talking about earlier, in kind of cultivating that and helping it grow.
Yeah. Because guess what's going to happen when enough people are doing that and not shopping at the grocery store?
Right.
That becomes the normal.
It takes one day of collective, economic, chess. Let's call it that, economic chess. If we collectively do something, we could affect. Like I said, a 15-year-old kid did it, and these guys, the whole Wall Street was shaking. They're like, "Oh my gosh, what are we gonna do?" They got So it's like, we could do it if we stop, whatever we want to stop. We say, okay, how about we buy no wheat products, no oat products, no pea products until they stop this glyphosate.
Right.
I love that. Yeah.
Exactly.
Here we go. UpWell the podcast. You heard it first. We're starting the movement. Starts today.
No glyphosate, man.
I love it.
Terrible.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of want to, I could probably talk to you all day, and I'm sure Katie has the same sentiments, but I kind of want to know a little bit more about your upcoming projects or your newest release. I know you just showed us your most recent book, but tell us a little bit more about where people can get to know more about you and all of the things that you're doing to empower people's health and wellness and to help educate our next generation.
I'm trying to do a lot. I'm trying to do as much as I can and merge all of my talents in spreading this message and getting across a message, and really like penetrating the culture, getting into the culture and becoming an influencer in that sense, So I'm doing that with children's books at this point, and like I said, this is my latest book. It's about breath work. This ultimately is going to be a series, right? Let me show you some of my favorite images in this book. But it's ultimately going to be a series, and here's a beautiful. She's like,
oh,
breathing.
that's gorgeous.
Yeah, this is my absolute favorite one. But it's a beautiful, beautiful book. So all female cast, right? So I did enough for the boys in my previous 12 books. So I dedicated this one to an all female cast. And this is going to be a series as well, So the secret of life is going to be getting into deeper modalities. So this is breath work. So the kids have in my first series, the nutrition, the environment, and that's K through third grade, right? So this is an older demographic. We're getting into middle school age group. I even have projects and things for adults. I'm beginning to work. So I moved to New York recently. I'm from LA, like I said, but I moved to New York, and things are really accelerating here, to say the least. So I'm even working with some adult groups. I'm working with a children's after school program right now. I'm working with a bunch of gardens in like East New York and Brownsville and all types of, and so it's like, as you see, there's a million things going on, and I'm creating this new space. It's exactly what we talked about, because I'm introducing myself to schools right now, and decision makers basically in these districts. And they're like so fascinated by the work that I'm doing. They're like, oh, so what do you offer? And I'm like, well, kind of tailoring programs to what they want. It's like I'm literally shaping the future of holistic health education right now. And so it's like, it's fascinating to see it from this angle, and hopefully my goal is to, in the next few is to scale this. So that's to have the Get Well Johnny program in as a K through third curriculum in many schools across the largest school district in the United States, right? I'm in New York, right? It's like real response, kids. Just yesterday I was at my after school program, and I worked with a kindergarten class, right? And I'm seeing differences between the kindergarten class and the first grade class, right? So I'm tailoring the curriculum to teach these children from kindergarten the essence of what my books represent. So like the long-term data is interesting. I'm gaining the short-term data right now, where it's like, okay, these are the markers. This is where, and we're hitting it, right? So it's like a certified. Okay, my program is a certified program for children, right? So I'm certifying them as Get Well ambassadors. It's the Get Well Johnny, whole thing.
Love that.
They're Get Well ambassadors. They're gonna have their celebration after 12 weeks. We're gonna go through every one of my books. We do workshops. I created a monetary system. If you look on my recent posts, they have dollars, and I create farmers markets in the classroom, all types of interactive things. So I'm literally creating that right now. There's a bunch of other things that I'm doing that's basically merging entertainment and culture. That's always what I'm going to be doing. It's no matter what or how many projects I'm doing, it's about utilizing the culture, hip hop culture. Hip hop is the culture, kind of in America. So it's utilizing that as a platform to teach about health and make health more of a relevant conversation when it comes to really just anything, entertainment, sports, all of those things. So that's what I'm doing. Every day is filled with like just a million things, but
I love
we're
that though, because that's
getting
really
at it.
that's your name, Dr. Pooch,
Yeah.
Dr. Seuss, Dr. Savy.
It makes it's universal, that's why when I said it, it just makes sense. And I realized like this mission is bigger than me. That's why I said I'm still learning to understand what Dr. Pooch means and what I could offer the world. Because I have a trillion ideas a second. Like I'm a creative and I love creating. So, cartoons, all types of, all types of edutainment is what people should expect from the Dr. Pooch brand. I have my clothing that obviously like that's a part of it. People see me in the street, it resonates with them, it speaks to them. I got the kids wanting the t-shirts and they can win them in prizes and stuff like that in certain activities that we do, and they're proud to wear like the Get Well Johnny shirt, right? So this whole thing, what it represents, it's holistic. Like it's with our clothing, right? And what we present ourselves to the world and how we present ourselves to the world. It's with the education and the food and the culture. And now if I can create the soundtrack to it, right, through different musical projects, right, literally create the soundtrack. I'm creating the soundtrack to the children's side of it, right? Like if you're healthy and you know it, clap your hands. Right. I said, if you're healthy and you know it, do your dance, So I got
We just listened to that before we started recording.
Nice. So that's the children's side of it. So they can have their soundtrack that's healthy, right? And then, or infused with like health education.
Messages.
And then on the other side, there's the adult side where they can have fun too and still feel like it's the normal hip hop that's out there, but it's like they're getting some other information. They're getting something else, So, I don't know what's going to resonate with the world. So far, these books are like really opening doors and really getting a conversation going. So I think that the youngest demographic was the best choice. But through this cornerstone, it's just going to grow. We're just going to do more and more and more.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I really do feel like the sky's the limit for you because you're so knowledgeable. You're so inspiring. And this was probably one of my favorite conversations we've had thus far. Before we wrap up, I do want to share with everyone where they can find you, where they can find your books, where they can listen to your music. So just give us all the platforms that they can locate you on. If you have a website, your social media handles and all that, so people can find all of the amazing things that you're doing right now.
Yep. Thank you very much. drpooch.com, www.drpooch.com, Pooch, Pooch like a dog or a belly Pooch.com is my website. You can find my books and my clothing and things like that on that platform. Spotify, iTunes, everywhere else. You go to, YouTube, just type in Dr. Pooch. FDA is my last album. I'm thinking about dropping Volume 2 very soon. And there's a lot of things coming up. Where else? Yeah, just Google me. All the social media handles are Dr._Pooch, from Instagram to Twitter and TikTok, etc. So I'm trying to content create. I have to do more. So keep me engaged, keep me accountable, keep me creating, so I can
Awesome.
I could just do more and inspire more people.
Well, good. We're so glad that you joined us today. This was so awesome.
Yes. Thank you. So we want to thank everybody for joining in on this episode of UpWell The Podcast. You can find us on all the places at UpWell The Podcast online. You can find myself at Barefoot Katie. You can find Sarah at Sarah Behrens. So until next time, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and take care of the world around you. And thank you, Dr. Pooch, for joining us. We had the best conversation with you. All right. We'll see you guys.
Bye.
Bye.